here in Richmond, California, not too far from the bay. Perfect climate to grow plants. My name is Don Mahoney, and I garden for biodiversity and for fun and pretty things also. But I also try and grow things that aren't around, that I know do well here, but no one has them, and if I don't grow them, then they could totally disappear from cultivation. And some of them are very rare in the wild, and also could be going extinct in the wild. So, and if you look around and you kind of keep your eyes open and you know what you're looking at, there's a lot of unusual things around. When I take my dog for a walk, I'm always amazed at some of the plants I see in people's gardens. For instance, one person has a big plant of Depia splendens, which is a rare plant from Mexico. Just sitting there in their garden. Annie's Annuals used to sell it, they don't anymore. So I garden for the biodiversity of it, and I do get it out to other people. You know, a lot of people do cuttings. I save seeds almost of everything that sets seed. So I keep trying to keep this stuff going and propagate it. But otherwise, it's fun. And I'm retired, and I've always been a plant freak since I was 4 years old. I was raising stuff from seed when I was like 4 years old. And, it's been a passion in my life. And most of the plant freaks that I really know all started when they were little kids, and it was ingrained in their system. And so some people have learned to be plant freaks, but mostly people are born with it, I think. Anyway, but I was born on a farm in Nebraska where we raised all of everything, all our own vegetables, etc. And cattle and pigs and chickens and ducks and on and on. So biodiversity doesn't stop with just plants. One of the reasons to have a really biodiverse garden is because it does make good habitat, and so you know, what's a garden without all the life in it? So that's the life is all the insects and birds, and I've got a tremendous amount of birds and a lot of bees, a lot of butterflies, not near as many as I used to, because all that kind of stuff, I think, what do they say, something like 30% of the insects on the planet are either extinct or going extinct within 5 or 10 years, and bird populations are dropping, butterfly populations are dropping worldwide, and they certainly are in California, and so anything you can do to help, and so I get a lot of bees on this stuff. So that's part of the biodiversity of it, and then it includes animals. So I've got 3 tortoises, and all the regular critters like squirrels and rats and scrub jays, which I've heard they've just made a separate species and calling it the California scrub jay. But anyway, Cherry, my puppy's barking. So I tend to specialize in species. I like cultivars. I mean, I call these showy petunias and stuff. I don't mind having real showy stuff, especially for when visitors come over who aren't real plant people. That's what they always want, is big showy flowers. Where for me, I like really the little bitty things. So any chance I get to have a species, I get the species rather than the cultivar, because horticultural and professional nurseries and stuff that sell to Home Depot, all those places, they do all the cultivars and all that stuff, and so there's no reason to grow any of that stuff. But all the species are what's really unusual and rare, and some of them are actually rare and endangered. I don't try and specialize in rare and endangered, but I end up with stuff that's rare and endangered. Partly stuff I've had for 20 years, suddenly 20 years ago it was common, and now it's getting very rare. And rare and endangered California plants are often really hard to grow, and they're I really try and not grow anything that doesn't like it here, and that's been a hard lesson to learn, because I tried to grow tropical passifloras. When we have rainy years, they're wonderful and they work really well. When we have a dry year like this, they all die. No matter how much you water, how much you do, they don't all die, but they sure suffer. So I've given up. If someone gave me a tropical passion vine right now, I probably wouldn't take it, because I want to grow stuff that actually likes this climate. And there's way more stuff to grow that likes this climate than I can possibly grow. So I've learned not to specialize in stuff that doesn't like it here. But I still have a lot of annuals, and annuals are not quite susceptible to that kind of, because they go dormant in the winter, and if it's a too drought summer for them, you just grow them another year. So I've got lots of basils, for instance, that are, good to cook with, but they're also great bee plants. There's a honeybee on here a little bit ago. And but then here's an annual from Mexico I've been growing for, I got the seed in 1991, so 31 years. And every year I save the seed from it and start it again, because I don't want to lose it. And if I put it in a bigger pot, it'll get about 3 or 4 foot tall and 3 foot across, and just gets covered with these, and it's sort of cloud forest, so it blooms in the fall. It really comes into full bloom around Halloween. I like it because it's Halloween colors, and then it blooms from Halloween till Christmas profusely. And so it's one of the big showy things, and I have quite a few pots of it around. You don't see them so much now because they're not in bloom. This is the first flower for this year. It's blooming kind of early, but it can be covered with it. But you can't buy it anywhere. You can't buy it online, and I don't know how rare it is in Mexico. When our travels in Mexico, I only saw it in one spot, but that was a huge patch of it. But I've been growing it for 30 years. I probably have about 10 different annuals around here that I've been growing for 20 or 30 years. And every year I save the seed. Every year I start it. I often start these in pots in the winter time early, just to make sure I have it. Although it reseeds a little bit, it'll come up, and I always leave it if I see one coming up in another pot. But so anyway, so that's part of the biodiversity, is the annuals. And then this is neat, because this is our native Indian paintbrush, which is somewhat of a parasitic plant, and it needs to have its roots hooked to grasses and sunflower family things, which this seems to work. This is going on its 4th year of blooming. They're fairly hard to grow. I've got a lot of salvias. I probably have about 30 or 40 different species of salvia in the garden. Half of them in the ground and half of them in pots. These petunias are all annuals, or this one will live for 2 or 3 years. But it's a species from Brazil that is very rare in the wild, comes from only one hillside. And this is a species from Peru, I think, that is very fragrant, and I don't come out at night to see if I get some moths on it, but that's undoubtedly what pollinates it, is some moths at night. Then I specialize in weird things that are somewhat common, like Agapanthus, which are every parking strip in the area. But that's all the one common kind of blue one, but they're incredibly variable genus, and they come in colors almost black, white, little ones, deciduous ones, big tall ones that are 6 foot tall, little short ones that are 6 inches tall. Every color from almost true blue to very dark black blue. So I have about probably 15 different kinds. I started counting the other day, and I think I got up to 11 in bloom right now. They're a summer thing. And part of having all this biodiversity is every season, every month, there's a lot of stuff in bloom. And that's important for the bees that come out at different seasons. But it's also fun to constantly have something showy to look at. And so every month this display area is different as things finish, and I've got lots of stuff in the back, and we just go, when something nice blooms, I bring it up to the front. But not a month goes by. A man named Wayne Roderick, who used to do bulbs, and he would be about 100 now, he died 10 years ago, but he gave lots and lots of talks to California, and he always opened his talks with saying, bulbs are great because I have bulbs in bloom every month of the year. Well, I have bulbs in bloom every month of the year, and Agapanthus is my summer bulbs. And by the time these are finishing, the naked ladies start blooming, and then as soon as they're done, the South African early bulbs start blooming in October, and then it goes on, and then the peak of them are probably Clivia in April. I've got thousands of Clivia because they're so easy to grow, and they thrive in this climate. But let's walk around back out that way maybe.